it on now.
Green light.
Green light. Okay.
Is that the right height for you? Should I lower this?
Well, you're first, right? No, I'm first. Let me see when I put my screen.
Is that
Okay.
work?
Yeah, that's
But
fine.
you got to get way closer to that mic.
Oh, I have
So
to be able to
that's why.
see this too.
So what I'm suggesting is take away. Can you fold it back so that the screen? Because you don't need the keyboard.
Right. How do I do that? I never do that. There's got to be a way. Oh, this maybe goes underneath.
That's what I'm thinking, but I don't know how to release it. Maybe somebody smarter than us does. Maybe someone younger.
Maybe Adam.
No, Allie does. Try to fold this back.
I can't sit it on this. Should work.
Take it out. Can it come out of there? Does it just come
Oh
out?
yeah, I suppose.
Just take it out.
Come out.
Doesn't it just, yeah, just do that.
I've never taken it out. Okay.
That's all you get. And you can leave, well, if you want to leave it there.
I'll probably
That's fine.
bring it with me so I can see where
See
I
what's
am.
happening.
Yeah.
Okay. But that height is good, and just, yeah, get it. You can move it down if you need it to go down.
Right.
Yeah, and because that's what I like to do. Is perfect.
Is this going to bother you if I leave this here?
No, I'll just slide it over.
Okay. What a beautiful morning. Good morning. Welcome to the Unitarian Church of Evanston. I am Barbara Mesle. Whether this is your spiritual home or you are newly discovering this community, we're grateful to share this time together. We strive to be an inclusive and welcoming community, seeking truth in love and nurturing the human spirit for a world made whole. We are guided by our principles and values, which remind us in every moment and through every challenge that each of us is worthy of love and that we are all connected through the vast and beautiful web of existence. We come together to remember our kinship with one another and to hold one another in heart and mind with tenderness and careful attention, and to dedicate ourselves more fully to living those shared values. Welcome to those of you joining online. We hope you have your chalices ready. People of all ages are a welcome and important part of our faith community. We are blessed to have the children in the sanctuary for the first half of every service, and all ages about once a month, including today. The nest in the front is our designated area for families with young children, where we have quiet fidget toys and activities and a kid-friendly order of service. We encourage our parents and caregivers in the nest to help support our youngest members of the community to participate in the service in an engaged way. Nursery care is available every Sunday in room 11 in the lower level, which you can access via the stairs at the back of the sanctuary, and the service is streamed in the lobby if you need to step out for any reason. As a part of being a welcoming and inclusive community, we have some information posted on the screen which will help orient you to UCE and our service. Go ahead. A few announcements. Join us during kinship time for an exceptional potluck. And while in line, admire the peep show display. For kids and youth, meet at the nest for instructions on the egg hunt, which will be outside on the lawn. May 1st is May Day Strong, a national call for no work, no school, no shopping. It is also the first day of UCE's annual rummage sale, as you probably know. We've thought about how to be in solidarity with the May Day Strong call to action, which is an opportunity to reduce one's contribution to corporate profits, to reuse and repurpose resources, and to build community by shopping locally. The Rummage Sale team invites you to support May Day Strong by avoiding corporate shopping and instead supporting UCE's mission. Shopping outside of corporate structures is an act of resistance to the forces that put fortunes before families and promote corporate control that weakens our democracy. Join us on May 1st and 2nd for 2 days of resisting and rummaging. And now, let us settle in together, gather our attention, and share this time of reflection, celebration, and inspiration. As we begin our worship service, let's quiet our electronics and our bodies as we join in beloved community. Welcome to worship.
Say these words when you lie down and when you rise up, when you go out and when you return, in times of mourning and in times of joy. Inscribe them on your doorposts, embroider them on your garments, tattoo them on your shoulders. Teach them to your children, your neighbors, your enemies. Recite them in your sleep. Here in the cruel shadow of empire, another world is possible. Our Introit this morning is Anyway by our dear member, Kristin Lems. Kristin wrote this song on the eve of the inauguration of the current president as a reminder to herself and others that we can't do life-affirming things just because they might win, but because they are the right things to do. It's the idea that hope is a muscle, and exercising that muscle helps our lives. Thank you, Kristin.
Walk anyway.
The Unitarian Church of Evanston was built on the traditional homelands of the Ojibwe, Odawa, and Potawatomi nations, once used by nomadic tribes who shared the Algonquin culture and language. By 1760, Potawatomi villages populated this land. After decades of violent encroachments by the French, British, and then the US American white settlers, the Potawatomi community were forcefully removed west of the Mississippi River. We also remember the networks of Black people, African American ancestors who built our country's culture and economy, originally through forced enslavement and uncompensated labor. We acknowledge the impacts of the intentional violence of enslavement, theft of labor, and exploitation, which echo through the generations and remain a reality today, of course. We offer these acknowledgments as one small effort toward building long-term solidarity with contemporary communities. We commit ourselves to incorporate these admissions into our lives and turn our thoughts into action. Please join in our shared words of commitment. We name these realities with honor for all the ancestors, respect for our descendants, and gratitude for the land we use as sacred space. The Transparency Group brought the flowers in celebration of the beloved trans people we love, who make the world more beautiful and wonderful just by existing. As they light our chalice, symbol of our living tradition, please join in saying the words on the screen by Reverend Elizabeth M. Strong. Out of the earth rises light, rises life, rises spring. May we join with the miracle of possibility that is springtime and enter into light with lightness and joy. Out of the Spirit rises faith, rises hope, rises love. May we join with the miracle of possibility that is Easter time and enter into life with hope and love. Thank you all.
Adam, there we go. Okay. It's time for our covenant. Does anyone from the nest or beyond the nest who is of a younger age would like to help us lead our covenant? Anybody? Would you like to? Come on up. Come on up here. Want to? Yeah, come on up. Is it okay to stand on the first step? And they can see you a little bit better. Can you say your name?
Pierre, Amaya, please rise in blood your spirit. And join to say the words of our covenant.
Love is the spirit of this church, and service is its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. Thank you. And Myasia was very helpful too. Good job, Myasia. Thank you both. Thank you so much. You can go sit down. Thank you. Before we sing our opening hymn, I invite those who are joining us online to greet each other in the chat, and those of us in the room to turn to one another and say good morning, hopefully to somebody that you don't know well. Before we sing our opening hymn, I want to encourage anyone who's feeling new to visit our welcome table with the red tablecloth in the back. Peter is there to greet you and orient you to our congregation. And everyone is invited to stay and continue these conversations that you've started at our Easter potluck after the worship service. So let's keep building new relationships and kinship among us. Our opening hymn is number 1068 in the teal hymnal, Rising Green.
Well, good morning. Great to see the nest full this morning. Oh, yay. Our Time for All Ages is a UU version of the Easter story, adapted by Vickie Hellyer. Easter is officially held on the Sunday after the first full moon after the spring equinox, or March 21st, roughly. And the reason is that they connect it to the Jewish calendar and the festival of Passover, which figures prominently in our story this morning. So this is the story of Easter from a UU perspective. Every year, the Jewish people celebrate Passover with a big feast called a Seder. And perhaps some of you were here on Friday for our Seder, led by members of the congregation who were raised in the Jewish faith. At the time of the story I'm telling, almost 2,000 years ago, many Jewish people would go once a year to Jerusalem to celebrate Passover. And in the particular year when this story happened, excuse me, there was someone going to Jerusalem who said such amazing things and did such wonderful things that people followed him everywhere he went. And do you know who that could possibly have been? I can't hear you. Jesus, yes, thank you. Yes, his name was Jesus. And we as Unitarian Universalists remember and honor him as a great storyteller and teacher. So Jesus was going to Jerusalem to celebrate Passover at a Seder with his family and friends. And as he traveled to Jerusalem, crowds of people came to see him and hear him speak. He told exciting stories, be careful, and that helped people think about things in a different way. Even the little children wanted to hear those stories. Some of Jesus' friends didn't like it that the kids kept coming to him and wanting to talk to him. They said, "Don't bother Jesus, he's got work to do." But Jesus said, "Let them come. It's always the children who teach us. If we could be like all children," Jesus said, "the world would be a better place." Amen. When Jesus got to Jerusalem, he went to celebrate Passover at a Seder with his 12 friends who were called disciples. They had matzah, bitter herbs, salt, water, eggs, and all the special Passover foods. They prayed for freedom and for peace, and that Passover Seder that Jesus held is called the Last Supper because, unfortunately, Jesus died soon after that. He was killed because some very powerful people didn't like how so many people paid attention to him. They didn't like that people listened to him and not to them. When he died, his friends were very, very sad because they loved him and missed him so much. Some of them believed that Jesus' message of his love and his stories were so strong that he came back to life again after he died. And it so happens that the story of his last few days on earth, his death, and coming back to life takes place at this time of the year, in the spring, when it seems like the earth is coming back to life itself after a dying winter. The trees get new leaves, the flowers bloom, the air warms, and birds lay their eggs. Easter eggs, like eggs on Passover, or eggs at Ostar, which is the pagan holiday celebrating the beginning of spring, remind us that although all living things die, all dead things return to the earth to nourish new life. Whatever the truth is about what happened after Jesus died, one thing we know for sure is that, like everyone who is loved, Jesus did live on in people's minds and hearts. He was never forgotten. People remember Jesus' stories and all the things he did to help others. They wrote down everything they could remember about him in a book called the Bible. The story they wrote about Jesus reminds us that there's much love, wisdom, and hope in the world. Even when we have sad times, hard times, times when all things seem lost, if we look for a bit, like hunting for colored eggs or hidden baskets, we just might find the joy we are looking for. This story reminds us that even when something ends in sadness, love and hope do not disappear. Sad things can change and sometimes transform us, but they don't have the final word. New possibilities can grow from loss. And the things that matter most, like kindness, courage, and care for one another, can rise again through how we choose to live. Amen.
I invite us to settle in now for our time of reflection on the joys and sorrows of this community. If you have a joy or a sorrow that you would like shared from the pulpit, you can write it in this book that's found at the table just as you enter the sanctuary. You can send Reverend Susan or myself an email. You can fill out the form found on the homepage of our website. We listen to these offerings with tenderness and with respect, and so we try to quiet our bodies and our minds as best as we are able by breathing in together. I'm going to ring this bell and we'll breathe in and then we'll breathe out. These are the joys and sorrows that have been shared today. Lena Hilko shares a joy from the news this week that the Parent Circle of Family Forum has been nominated for the 2026 Nobel Peace Prize. The Parent Circle fosters reconciliation by bringing bereaved Israeli and Palestinian family members together to promote dialogue, uplifting relationship as the path to peace. Thank you, beloved choir ministers and congregation, for always doing it anyways, writes Kristin Lems. Charles Anderson writes, a bit of mixed emotions, joyfully celebrating that I applied and was accepted to participate in a summer music intensive in Tuscany. Sorrowfully concerned about affording all of the expenses. Also a bit conflicted knowing that there are so many others who are struggling with way worse. From Betsy Godwin and Sandy McNabb, we are happy to welcome our friends to today's service. Welcome Jessica, Ben, and Margaret. From Dr. Emma Farrell, your ministerial intern, a huge joy. Both Unity Temple and UCE voted to ordain them. The ordination, yes, very exciting. Ordination will take place on June 13th at Unity Temple, and the joy of a full-time job as the minister at CCUU Palatine in the fall. So grateful for all the, yes. So grateful for all the love and support from UCE, more than I can say. And Michelle Thompson Hay wrote, just realized today is the 10th anniversary of the Hayes' first visit to UCE, Easter of 2016. Happy as always to be home. We're so happy you found your way here. Sarah Devaney shares the joy of her dog Lily's surgery going really well on Thursday, and this was non-cancerous. Yay, Lily. Janelle Britton shares that she's well on her way to the next chapter of her life. She has a buyer for her beautiful house in Morton Grove where she's been, where we've had so many fun parties, and she said, I've signed the lease for an apartment in Deerfield, so now I'll be more carefree and have more time to do things with all of you at UCE. Jordan Sadler shares this sorrow. She writes, my mother, Sharon Sadler, is facing a sudden and unexpected health crisis and has been hospitalized for over a week. Please keep our family in your thoughts and prayers during this difficult time. From Carol Mergel, This was meant to be shared last week. Our beautiful, loving, funny, stubborn, wonderful mom, Judith R. Dixon Mergel, passed away on Monday, March 23rd, at the age of 87. We are all heartbroken and miss her so much. My dad, Jim, has lost his dear wife and best friend of over 69 years. We are all trying our best to help each other to cope and to help Dad with what looks like, what life looks like for him on his own. And finally, from Carlos Waldron, my spirit is heavy to share the news of the passing of my grandmother, Eileen Waldron, who died Monday, 3/23. She was the kind, loving matriarch of the family and the light of my life. She will be missed. There are so many joys and sorrows on our hearts, so many more than what have been named here, and sharing these together and holding them together is part of the practice of beloved community. Together we expand our celebrations and lessen the burden of our grief. You are invited, as always, to light a candle at one of the tables, either here in the front or on the side, or drop a stone in the well of tears. And just know that I and Reverend Susan and the pastoral care team are here to help you hold the sorrows and burdens of your heart in these difficult times. So let us come forward, and you may do it now or you may do it at any time in the service that you feel moved. And if you need a candle brought to you, please raise your hand. these joys, we give our thanks. For these sorrows, we give our love.
Please join me in the spirit of prayer and meditation. In the name of holiness, holding hands, we lift up all of those who are suffering and all of those who are joyful. What will rise up in us today? For now, we focus on rising bread. I lay our hands on the dough. We feel the hands of those who taught us to bake, to create in all manner of ways. Feel their hands upon your hands. Close your eyes. Breathe deeply. Feel the yeast rise up in the dough. Feel its aliveness reach up to touch your hands. Breathe into it. It breathes into you. Its yeastiness reaches all of our senses. Let us be invoked into presence. The bread dough reminds us to quiet ourselves, to expect to be surprised by joy. So now, may we be still. And at this still point, we feel more alive to the possibilities of the Easter season. We feel the ancestors in all the brokenness and all the beauty of their lives. We feel those who have loved us and whom we have loved. They are present. Love means something. No human boundaries can rein love in. All of those, the living, the dead, and the yet unborn, feel connected in a continuous link across space and time. May spring rise up in us. May we be healthy. May we be peaceful and full of ease. May we feel grateful. And may we be of service to others and to the causes of justice. And so I say to you, come to the Easter table. The bread is hot. Can you smell it? Amen. As we say in our covenant each Sunday, service is our law. UCE is called by our mission, values, and principles to contribute to our community, to form accountable partnerships, and to express gratitude through giving. Today's offering will be shared with the Connections for the Homeless, one of our longest community partnerships. Connections serves as a safety net for neighbors who need support to maintain safe, stable housing in Evanston and northern Cook County. They've been a tireless advocate and leader for affordable housing in our area. You may text to give, mail in a check, put cash, of course, in the collection bowls, or give from our websites. If you write a check, please indicate in the memo line if your check is for the shared offering or some other giving. The ushers will come forward now to pass the collection bowls down the rows. Please give as generously as you are able, and may what you give bring you joy. Thank you for your generosity.
Say these words when you lie down and when you rise up.
Go out and when you return.
In times of mourning and in times of joy.
Inscribe them on your doorposts, embroider them on your garments.
Tattoo them on your shoulders. Teach them to your children, your neighbors, your enemies.
Recite them in your sleep. Here in the cruel shadow of empire, another world is possible.
Imagine winning. This is your sacred task. This is your power. Imagine every detail of winning. The exact smell of the summer streets in which no one has been shot. The muscles you have never unclenched from worry, gone soft as newborn skin.
The sparkling taste of food when we know that no one on earth is hungry. that the beggars are fed, that the old man under the bridge and the woman wrapping herself in thin sheets in the back seat of a car, and the children who suck on stones nest under a flock of roofs that keep multiplying their shelter.
Lean with all your being towards that day when the poor of the world shake down a rain of good fortune out of the heavy clouds and justice rolls down like waters. When you inhale and when you exhale, breathe the possibility of another world into the 37.2 trillion cells of your body until it shines with hope. Then imagine more.
Don't waver. Don't let despair sink its sharp teeth into the throat with which you sing.
Escalate your dreams. Make them burn so fiercely that you can follow them down any dark alleyway of history and not lose your way.
Make them burn clear as a starry drinking gourd over the grim fog of exhaustion, and keep walking.
Hold hands.
Share water.
Keep imagining so that we and the children of our children's children may live.
Our anthem is another song created by one of our congregants. J. Lynn Allen wrote the lyrics and his son Jamie Allen the music. When he began to attend UCE services again after a long hiatus, Lynn was inspired by the warmth he felt here to create a piece for our terrific choir. He has written many songs with his son Jamie, a composer and conductor. The piece is inspired by a verse from the Gospel of Matthew, which often comes to his mind in times of trouble. Sufficient unto the day is the evil thereof. Lynn understands this to suggest that as we are able to avoid dwelling on the future and its possible catastrophes, we can practice emphasizing the joys of each day and each moment. He and Jamie, who offered generously to conduct the choir, happily share each day, performed here for the first time. tremendous gift. Thank you so much. And I'm about to give the kids in the nest a tremendous gift. Because I'm inviting Kathy, if you are feeling a bit antsy and would like to get to that egg hunt that you are probably the only reason why you're decided to come today, I'm gonna let you all enjoy the egg hunt. So follow Kathy. What else do you want me to say? We're gonna start in the lobby. So follow Kathy to the lobby if you would like to participate in the egg hunt. So you don't have to listen to me drone on for 15 minutes. It's going to be more than they could bear. Easter can be complicated for Unitarian Universalists. Many of us would prefer egg hunts, bunnies, flowers, and eggs than to wrestle with the narratives of the crucifixion and resurrection. But the Christian story of death and rebirth, which echo the pagan wisdom and rituals that preceded it, tell a potent truth of all life's seasons and cycles. Human beings need to make meaning amidst our suffering, and so we look to sacred texts, the wisdom found in all traditions, to history, science, and the collected expanse of human insight to discover the lasting truths of our lives. Jesus lived at a time like ours of abusive empire, of war and oppression, of cruelty and crushing poverty and sickness. His actions and his words championed a simple message: to love and serve our neighbors, especially those who are most marginalized. He taught his followers to know that we are all one with creation, and that love is more powerful than death. This radical message of resistance to the powers that be got him killed in the most cruel and humiliating way. His followers, like all people who grieve their loved ones, needed to make meaning of his death. They needed to make sure that his message did not end when his body was demeaned and destroyed. And so in the years and decades following, they began to tell the story of how he had risen. Imagine someone telling that story now and know that it was received with as much skepticism then as it would be today. It wasn't a safe narrative to tell, that this radical, leper-loving cult leader had been raised from the dead. But against all odds, that story endured. Regardless of what you believe about his life and death, his message did, in fact, carry on, though it has also been too often contorted to defend the vilest interpretations of it. The subtitle of Jesus' message could be "Another World is Possible." Despite the evils that persisted in his lifetime and seem to be winning today, there is another way it can be. It is the way of love and liberation, of oneness and beauty, of hope in what might rise. From our vantage point within the cycle of history's turning, it's hard to see what might lie on the other side of this breakdown. The world that seems to dominate our view is cruel and senseless and abusive, as it was more than 2,000 years ago. From this perspective, it may be hard to imagine anything but annihilation beyond this moment. But there is more, and there will be more after the fall of this empire, after the turning of this cycle. The 2023 book, The Fourth Turning Is Here by Neil Howe, is based on the well-established theory of generational and cyclical change, relatively predictable throughout all societies and throughout time. While it is true that we can't predict the future and we don't know exactly how things are going to turn out, history does rhyme. And exploring it can help us imagine what might arise beyond our current experience. Howe describes the cycle of turnings, which he refers to as seculum, an 80 to 100 year period with predictable stages like this. The first turning is a high, an upbeat era of strengthening institutions and weakening individualism. Think of the post-Depression, World War II decades when institutions were strong, and so was homogeneity and social conformity. Individualism was subdued, family bonds prioritized. The second turning is an awakening, a passionate era of spiritual upheaval. Think of the civil rights movement and gay, women's, and sexual liberation movements of the 60s and 70s. Individual expression starts to challenge norms and systems of power. The third turning is an unraveling, a downcast era of strengthening individualism and weakening institutions. Think of Reagan's Morning in America and Greed is Good, and all the ways institutions and a sense of community were weakened in the 80s and 90s, those are my generations, it culminated in the 9/11 attacks and the protracted wars that followed. And the fourth turning is a crisis, a decisive era of secular upheaval when the values regime propels the replacement of the old civic order with a new one. Guess which one we're in now? The book calls this the millennial crisis, which began with the Great Recession of 2008, leading to the rise of right-wing populism, Christian nationalism, the pandemic, and though the book was written before it, the second iteration of the currently cataclysmic regime. We can trace this 80 to 100-year pattern repeating across so many cultures and continents over the breadth of human history. We can see it with the Etruscans and over the Roman Empire, as well as in this country's relatively short existence. We can look to our most recent fourth turning or crisis era, the Great Depression and World War II, or before that, to the Civil War, or before that, the Revolutionary War. To imagine how it felt to be at the precipice of an epic and convulsive transition. I can imagine that at each of those previous fourth turnings, it felt utterly hopeless and hard to imagine anything good coming beyond. But we can also look at the first turnings that followed each of these devastating times of crisis to prepare ourselves for what might emerge next. Heather Cox Richardson, who many of you know and read, was on Jon Stewart's podcast this week talking about the despair many of us are feeling being on the brink of collapse. And as a historian, she looks at patterns and has studied the great stock market crash, which preceded the last fourth turning. She wanted to understand what was going on in the minds of people the day before that calamitous event. And so she looked to the newspapers of October 28, 1929. She observed opulence on that evening before great fortunes were lost. The elite were on the cover of the paper, attending the opera, smiles and ball gowns and tuxedos. And then in a small piece below the fold, she noted the story of a man who had thrown himself off a building because he had lost his family's business. He felt he was a failure. He thought he was the only one. And Richardson wants to reach back in time to that desperate man and tell him to hang on just 12 more hours. If he had only held on through that night of despair, he would have known that he was not a failure, nor was he alone. It was the system that had failed him and the whole country, and it was going to take the whole country to come together to take care of each other over a long period of time to get through the next turning. If we can just hang on to one another through this horrible crisis, this terrifying abyss, the whole of us will rise to help usher in the next turning. We are a part of what will be history for our subsequent generations. If we can learn from the past, we can help make the turnings to come less catastrophic, or at least to help equip our descendants to meet the inevitable cycles with greater collective wisdom, creativity, and care. For most of human history, people and societies have operated with an understanding of time as cyclical, with a deep intuitive understanding of the seasons of life. Modern Western culture, however, has moved away from that understanding in favor of a more linear view of time. It is the essence of the onward and upward forever philosophy promoted by American transcendentalist and Unitarian theologian James Freeman Clarke, that humankind is personally and collectively improving in a straight upward tilting line forever until we're perfect, I guess? I don't know. The linear thinking draws its straight line directly to zero-sum ideology that has led to colonization and extraction. A linear view of time contradicts the interconnection of all beings central to many ancient earth-centered understandings of life and ignores the threads that bind us to the past and the future. In the epilogue of The Fourth Turning is here, the author writes, quote, "We are distressed because we have entered a season of history that we dread completing. We understand that the fourth turning is a season of crisis likely to bring wrenching and unwanted changes in our lives. We know that there is nothing worse than a fourth turning, except to not have a fourth turning. But if avoiding the fourth turning is not possible or even desirable, what then should we do? We should follow ancient wisdom and conform our behavior to the season. If it's winter, we should act like it's winter. We should help our community prepare to be strong in the coming spring while allowing the least possible suffering so long as the storms rage." End quote. What if we looked at the current time we are in as part of the unavoidable cycle of living? As much as it is painful to endure and frightening to imagine how bad it could get, we have the choice to turn the wisdom of previous generations and root ourselves in the responsibility we hold to pass on our wisdom to those who hold the future. We can reflect on the enduring patterns of the past and on what role we can play to serve the highest good within those necessary and unavoidable cycles. Alone, we cannot stop war and senseless destruction. We cannot end a regime of ignorance, hate, and greed single-handedly. But through building up and contributing to beloved, multi-generational, diverse, and covenantal community by joining broad, relational, compassionate, and inclusive coalitions, we can and we will cultivate the ground, plant the seeds, and nurture the growth of the next season. We don't know exactly what the future holds, but we never have. We can recognize and learn from patterns, though. We can gain insight from the past and share wisdom with the future. Amidst our sorrow, grief, and fear, this is how we build our courage, practice faith, and plant seeds of love in the ground of possibility. Spring is coming. Can you feel it? I can see it in my garden with the hyacinths and daffodils rising. It would be easy to miss it, to forget to stop and marvel at it. I've already taken way too long to clear out the old leaf debris so that the tulips can emerge unencumbered, but I will get to it. And as I'm collecting the wet, brown leaves of the fall that were buried in the harsh, cold winter snow, I will do my part to remember and honor the wisdom of cycles, to learn from those who have tended the earth before me, to make the way a little more clear for what will come next. Amidst the tremendous suffering all around, and which will continue as the turning comes to its climax, we choose each day how to show up. We don't deny the loneliness, isolation, illness and disparity, the lack of adequate resources for so many, the complicated losses too many are bearing. With all this, it's easy to feel hopeless. It's easy to feel despair in this part of the cycle. It's easy to feel hate. It's easy to feel fear. But we have a choice to honor these feelings while looking to what lies beneath. We have access to a power which we can and which can and has threaded itself through each cycle, each lifetime, each generation and era, through every rise and fall and every turning. It is the enduring, universal, and transforming power of love which binds us each and all to our source. Our prayer is to be guided by that source, to be shown the way of what will endure beyond this moment in the cycle of all things, when all seems lost. For what dies will be reborn, what decays will turn and transform into new life. May we be fortified by the deep knowing that another world is possible. And as a reminder, it's not working, darn it. That was gonna be so smooth. Oh, there it is. Okay, wait. We're passing out temporary tattoos. Please take one and find a place to adhere it to yourself so that you can see it and remember. Peel back the clear film, lay it on your skin, and hold a moistened cloth over it for a few moments. And say these words when you lie down and when you rise up, when you go out and when you return, in times of mourning and in times of joy. Inscribe them on your doorposts. Embroider them on your garments. Tattoo them on your shoulders. Teach them to your children, your neighbors, your enemies. Recite them in your sleep. Here in the cruel shadow of empire, another world is possible. Amen.
Now let us extinguish the chalice by Reverend Elizabeth Zell Jones. As we extinguish the chalice, please join in saying these words. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. Please rise in body or spirit and join in singing our final hymn, number 344.
Thank you.
May we be filled with the divine spirit of possibility as we help usher in the next, turning to a more liberated and beautiful world. May the source of enduring love guide us through the cycles of mutual care and collective flourishing. Go making peace, beloveds, and go enjoying Easter brunch. Woo.